question is that the people in the West Bank, after the presentation by the King of Jordan of his plan, would like to know whether Israel would permit a referendum to be held under the UN auspices or some other way, what they want. Do they want a federation with Jordan? Do they want a federation with Israel? Assuming that under Israel occupation, they will have more freedom and opportunity in expressing what they really want than if they will have to do it under Hussein. Is that right?
Exactly.
The question I put all right. Now let's see about the answer. By the way, so that you won't hold it against me, nothing more to tell you than what you have already written about before. Now, in the Western Bank are beginning at the wrong end. The first question is, what are going to be the new borders of Israel? And in order to determine the new borders of Israel, according to Israeli policy, we want to determine them in negotiations with our neighbors, in this case, with Hussein, with Jordan. And whatever happens beyond these borders is of no interest to us, nor have we any right to interfere. I don't think it'll be a surprise for you when I say that, in the first place, Israel has no intention whatsoever to go back to the pre-5th of June 67 borders on any border. And two, that the borders between us and Jordan, we do not think of it as minor, quote, minor rectifications, unquote. With the experience that we have had, the government hasn't decided where the border should be. I can even envisage that if the time comes, and there will probably be various opinions in the cabinet. I might say as though there may be various opinions in the cabinet and maybe in the Knesset. I still am praying for the time to come as quickly as possible when we will have, when I'll be able to present to the cabinet that after negotiations with the government of Jordan, with the King of Jordan, I present a plan that I think should be acceptable. But it makes no sense whatsoever to ask the people in the Western Bank as they are, what do they want to be as they are? Do they want to be with Jordan? Do they want to be anywhere else? Do they want an independent state? And you know, of course, the position of Israel as far as another state, another Arab state, between Israel and Jordan. Our idea is that in the historic original Palestine, which was between the Mediterranean and the Iranian border, there is room for two countries, not three, two. One Jewish state and one Arab state. The Arab state Jordan and what will be from the Western Bank beyond the borders that will be decided upon, agreed upon in negotiations between Jordan and us, and not a third Arab state or an Arab state between Jordan and between Israel. Is there any sorrow over it? Look, usually we wait until election time comes, and supposing that I thought that there cannot possibly be a better prime minister than I am, it still would depend upon my party and so on. But when asked, I can't help but tell the truth. I'm sure it will surprise you very much if I say that by the time the elections come along, I'll be 75 plus a few months. And although this is the prime of life to go into political life, But I still think that there are so many younger people in the state of Israel and in my party that I think I deserve a rest.
Stand by that historic right, and how you think, and to what extent you think it ought to be achieved in practice.
You people recognize borders, which means that the territorial problem, borders, is naturally one of the major items which will be discussed in the negotiations with our neighbors. And three, that in the meantime, Israel will do everything that it thinks is necessary for its security or its development wherever we think it is necessary for the state of Israel. So, in addition to the historical right article, we quote the program in negotiations with our neighbors, and we say the government should go on, the Knesset authorizes the government to go on negotiating for peace in accordance with the program and the decisions of the Knesset.
Peter Philipp, Süddeutsche Zeitung, Munich. Mrs. Meir, you have been talking very much about the negotiations without preconditions. On the other side,
we have never said that until we sit down and negotiate a peace agreement, a peace treaty with our neighbors, we'll have no ideas and won't do anything. We have ideas. There are many things that government has not decided on. For instance, government has not drawn a map on any one of our borders. But we have ideas on certain things. When we say no preconditions, we mean simply this. We do not ask any one of our Arab neighbors to commit themselves to any part of our peace program, let us say. We say, when we come to the negotiating table, our ideas will be on the table, their ideas to be on the table. Before King Hussein's speech, I used to say, it's perfectly all right if Egypt, Jordan, Syria, anybody says, and it comes and says in negotiations, they want Tel Aviv. Now I'm afraid to say it because according to Hussein's speech, practically Tel Aviv, why should not Tel Aviv be liberated? So anything is legitimate. We have nothing against Sadat when he says that we ought to go right back to the 4th of June borders. It's perfectly legitimate for him to say it. What is not legitimate is for him to say Israel before negotiations should commit itself as a condition for negotiations to go back to the 4th of June borders. Now, whatever we do, we think we need it, as I said, for development or for security reasons. When we negotiate with Hussein or with Egypt, they can say anything about these places. Wherever we put the border, if it's an agreed border, that will be the border. But let me say just only one word about, for instance, let us take Hebron. Until 1929, there was a Jewish community in Hebron, an old Jewish community. People know what Hebron is. It wasn't built since the State of Israel was established. In 1929, there were riots, and every Jew that was there was either killed, Palestine, as I said before, was between the Mediterranean and the borders of Iraq. The Western Bank was annexed by King Abdullah. It should have been part of an Arab state. Didn't set up the Arab state, there's the war, and King Abdullah afterwards annexed the Western Bank. Were they less Palestinians then than they are today?